Next up is C. Perk, and their first question is, would you rather live in Wonderland or Neverland? I think I would go with Wonderland, actually, because it would just be really cool. As long as I could stay away from the Queen, I think it would be cool. Yeah, the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat. So I would pick Wonderland. Okay, next one is, where is your favorite place to read? I need a lot of light to read, so the place that has the best lighting in my house is in the living room on my couch. So that's where I tend to read most of the time. I try not to read in bed because I find if I read in bed, I have more trouble sleeping. I already have insomnia to begin with, so I don't need any um, added things to keep me awake. So yeah, on my couch in my living room. Okay, next question. What is your favorite genre and why? It depends on my mood. It depends on the day. I don't really have one favorite genre. I love YA, I love horror, I love some romance, and I love fantasy. Those are pretty much my go-to genres, but I read almost anything. So, and the next question comes from CA Sue 1, and they want to know, are you married and does your spouse like to read too? No, I am not married. I am happily unmarried. So that's my question, or that's my answer to that question. Okay, next up is Dylan from DM Friend 26, and his first question is, what got you into reading, a book, a person, etc.? I've pretty much, well, my parents were both big readers, and they really instilled a love for reading for me from a very, very early age. So pretty much from the moment that I could actually read a book, I've just been like, I've just gone on from there. But yes, from a very early age, so I thank my parents for getting me into reading when I was a kid. Question 2. What inspired you to read erotica? Okay. I thought about this question a lot, and I really couldn't come up with a definitive answer. I know back when I got my first Kindle, which was like the first or second generation Kindle, which I still have, by the way, I used to download a lot of the free books, and the majority of the free books back then on Amazon were these really, really, really bad, smutty short stories, and I read a lot of them, and the majority of them were, like I said, really bad. But actually, the first thing that came to mind when I read this question is, I have a friend who used to be really obsessed with Twilight, and she used to read a lot of Twilight fan fiction, and I remember she sent me a link to this story, and it was called The List. And I don't remember the username that this woman used when she posted this story on the site, but I do know it was written by a woman named Laura Kay, who is a published author, and she's actually a really good author. I've read a couple of her books, and she's very good. But before all that, she wrote this story. She wrote several Twilight fan fiction stories, but this one is called The List, and it basically is this list that Bella makes about all of these things she wants to do and experience with Edward. And I remember I sat there and I read this thing, and I was hysterical. It was like one of those things where I'm reading it and I'm constantly giggling. I'm not putting it down. Please, please. I have read Twilight. I am a Twilight fan. I have nothing against people who wrote Twilight fan fiction. I used to write fan fiction, not Twilight fan fiction, but I used to write fan fiction, so I'm not like a snob about it or anything. And like I said, Laura Kay is actually a really good author. And I read the whole thing, so I mean, it obviously was good enough for me to read the whole thing. It was ridiculous, to be honest. Because they were saying and doing things that were just completely not anything that you could ever imagine Bella and Edward doing and saying, especially some of the dialogue that Edward had. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, so there's your really long, sort of complicated answer, Dylan. I hope that makes you happy. Okay, his next question is, what are some of your favorite TV shows and movies? Okay, I don't really watch very much TV anymore because I work nights most of the time, so I'm never home. But my absolute favorite show is Psych. I also really like New Girl and American Horror Story. Well, season 1 of American Horror Story, season 2 not so much. And I absolutely love, love, love the show Hannibal, which just started this year. It's such a fantastic show. Hugh Dancy is such a pretty, pretty man. As far as like all-time favorite shows, I love Lost, and I really like Supernatural now. and Scrubs, Kids in the Hall, Queer as Folk. There's just a lot of shows that I can't think of right now. Oh, and Doctor Who, of course. How could I forget Doctor Who? Okay, so as for movies, okay, my favorite movies would be Harold and Maude, 21 Jump Street, Shaun of the Dead, 28 Days Later, um, Vanilla Sky, Almost Famous, Safety Not Guaranteed, and a whole bunch of other movies that I cannot think of right now. So yeah. Okay, so moving on to Alicia from Behind the Picket Fence. She asks me, how did you come across the Black Dagger Brotherhood series? Okay, so I actually came across it for the first time walking around Borders. I was bored out of my mind. I don't even remember why I was there, but I was walking around, and at the time I had just started reading paranormal romance for the first time. I was obsessed with Sherilyn Kenyon's Dark Hunter series, and I saw the covers of the first 3 books of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series sitting on the shelf, and I picked them up and I read the back of Dark Lover, and I was instantly like fascinated. I love vampires to begin with, and it just sounded really unique to me because, like I said, I was new to the whole paranormal romance genre. And within about 5 minutes of starting that book, I was hooked. And yeah, it's just such an amazing series. Okay, so her next question is, how many tattoos do you have? I just have the one, just this one. My best friend and I actually got it together when she came to visit me a couple years ago. I always said that if I was going to get a tattoo, I wanted it to be something that meant something to me. So this is actually can't really see it, the Chinese symbol for hope. I got it for my father because at the time he was sick and I was taking care of him, and it's sort of I got it in a spot that I could see it every day because I wanted to remember to sort of hold on, because things were very bleak at the time. And yeah, so just the one. I don't know, at some point I may get another one, but I firmly believe that if you're going to get a tattoo, it should be something that means something to you. So, yeah. Okay, next question is, how many print books do you own compared to ebooks? I have way more ebooks than print books because I stopped collecting books for a while and sold the great majority of the ones that I had, and then the ones that I didn't sell are in storage. So yeah, I have way, way, way more ebooks right now. Okay, next question. Where do you live, state or province? I live in the wonderful state of New Jersey. Yay. Okay, next question. What made you start booktubing? I actually used to have a vlogging channel on here several years ago, and I met a lot of really great people, and it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, a lot of vloggers that I was friends with sort of disappeared and stopped making videos, and it was very sad. When I saw other people talking about books, I was like, well, this is your #1 passion in life, give it a try. And I did, and the first few videos that I uploaded to this channel are absolutely horrifying because I'm so nervous and I'm so awkward, and yeah. But it's been such an amazing experience, so I don't regret it at all because I've made some great friends, and it's been great. So, let's see. Have you always loved reading, or is it a new passion? Well, like I said before, I've pretty much been reading since I was a little kid because of my parents, so it's been there my entire life. And where do you buy most of your books? I usually usually it's Books A Million, either from the store or from their website because I have their member card and it makes it cheaper, or Amazon.com, the old standby.